Hello everyone, it's your girl Lala and I'm back with another video. So today's video is going to be review slash recap on Love and Marriage Huntsville season 4 episode 8. Now let's get into the video. I am going to have to refer to my notes because listen, it is just too much on right now and I'm watching too much these days to be able to keep up with all of these shows and remember it all. So it is what it is. So this episode picks off, it picks up from last week where we saw the Valentine's Day, event that just turned into a whole mess, okay? By the end of the night, Mel and Tisha got into it. Stormy and Destiny got into it. Stormy and Destiny done jumped up like they was ready to throw hands. Although I don't think nobody really wanted to fight. But I will say though, Stormy for some reason does seem like she's about that life. I don't know. Stormy for some reason gives me like she might be ready to really buck up on somebody. I don't know. But anyway, Destiny was just doing the most with security having to hold her back, Kimmy having to hold her back. I'm just like, I don't know. Destiny, I'm not buying it. I'm really not. Which I hope is not, I hope it's not the case because really, I don't want to see any of them in the state of actually throwing hands. I mean, come on now. Like, we want to see a little mess and all, but I don't want to see the violence, okay? I'm not here for that. So anyway, so after everything is kind of like, calm down and the girls are back at the table. Tisha is back at the table and she's talking to Melanie and Tiffany. Melanie and Tiffany. And so Tisha starts to kind of, try to defend Destiny. And Tisha is saying that, that they both were talking crazy. So she basically is trying to say like, Stormy and Destiny both were talking crazy, or whatever in Destiny's defense because Stormy's whole thing was that, that Destiny was mocking her. Now she was letting it go at some points and everything, but her whole thing is that she felt that Destiny was mocking her because Stormy has an accent and that she was just being mocked or whatever. So they have a little bit of a back and forth. And by this time, Kimmy has calmed Destiny down in the back. And so Destiny is, on her way out, her and Kimmy, she's a bit calmer. And, Destiny is making references to, Kimmy being the only one to calm her down. And that basically, I guess, Destiny is kind of like how Kimmy used to be before Kimmy got, I guess, her little Zen vibe going. I don't think we ever really saw that side of Kimmy, but supposedly it's there and Kimmy could get on 10 too or whatever, but whatever. So now they're back at the table and, the conversation continues. So Mel starts to, somehow they get into the conversation about the reunion. So it's like a recap of the reunion where Tisha made the comment that, Melody is a type of person that, when she needs you, she's around, but when she doesn't need you anymore, basically, I guess, she's, no longer around. So this was the conversation, this was the comment, I should say, at the reunion made by Tisha that kind of derailed Melody's and Tisha's, I guess, friendship that they were trying to get back to or repair, and everything went left with this comment or whatever. So once again, this comment triggered all over again and it started going left because before you know it, you have Mel telling Tisha, Marceau has been cheating on you and he's been cheating on you for years, and Tisha's like, where's the proof? And then Tisha, she says, well, Martell was cheating on you for 3 years and you knew and you still had a baby. Lord, why did she do that? So, of course, her and Melody are like going back and forth. And before you know it, Melody is like, listen, Melody is chucking up the deuces like, peace, I'm out. Because, listen, Tisha about to take me to a place that I'm not trying to go to. I have too much to lose. And so Melody leaves. So now we are at Maurice and Kimmy's house. So it's Kimmy's birthday. Maurice has, he's made her breakfast in bed. How cute. And then they start talking about the Galentine event. Kimmy is giving Maurice a full recap of everything that has happened during this Galentine event. And so, as she's giving her recap, Maurice decides to give his 2 cents, okay? So Maurice is like, well, he's basically saying that Melody seems to be the common denominator and seems to be the one that's into it with everybody, because he's like, okay, so Melody is into it with Destiny, Melody's into it with Tisha, and Melody's into it with Martell. So it like just seems to be, Melody that's the one that's into it with everybody. And I'm just like, Maurice, I think you might want to save your opinion on this, okay? Like, save your opinion, on this one. Because, first of all, I don't know if he's not on the side of it with the females to know and see some of the things that are going on. He doesn't know what is going on between Destiny and Melody. He doesn't know, there's been issues with Melody and Tisha from the start. We've seen it season after season with Melody and Tisha, right? We've seen this go on and on. So I think to just put all the blame on Melody is kind of like, come on. And then you're going to bring Martell into it. Her and Martell are in the process of divorce because Martell had a baby outside of his marriage. So Maurice, I think you should kind of just keep your mouth closed. Keep your mouth closed and sit this one out. Just sit this out and leave this to the ladies and leave your comments to yourself. So, but it all seems to stem from because, Maurice feels that Martell should be invited to Jalen's, which is Kimmy's son's housewarming. And because he even makes the comment that, well, if Mel is not coming, then, I don't see why Martell can't come, then he calls Martell, on the line while Kimmy's there. And, he's talking to Martell and he's telling Martell basically that, well, Mel isn't coming, so kind of like, do you want to come? Basically is what he's, getting at. And Martell is kind of like, well, wait a second. Why didn't I get an invite from the beginning? Martell like, well, so hold up. Like, I'm kind of like, okay, if Mel say no, then I can come. That's how Martell kind of is coming off with it. And so Kimmy, she jumps in and she's like, well, there's been some things with you, Martell. Basically, Kimmy is telling Martell, like, there's been some things with you and your mess, basically, which is why you ain't get an invite, outside of Mel coming or not. And so, Kimmy mentioned something about, Martell put her into something because of a comment, that he made on social media. And, of course, Martell is kind of like, like, what, basically like what, how Martell does in Martell's way or whatever. But the thing is that I just think it's kind of, I think it's kind of messed up that the men are not holding Martell more accountable, because at the end of the day, Martell was the one who made a decision that broke up his family. He is no longer in the household with his kids. He no longer has a wife because of a decision that he made. So I think that the men should kind of hold Martell a little more responsible. And it's just like, let's have some level of empathy in the sense of, you know what? Mel has a right. Mel has a right to be a little bitter and a bit upset with Martell. Mel has a right to not be in a space where she wants to accommodate, Martell and different things like that. Because, let's be honest about this. What Martell did was unforgivable. It broke up their marriage. It broke up their home. And, they're newly divorced. So she is going to go through that process. So once again, I just think that it's kind of unfair on the men that they don't really hold Martell responsible the way that I feel like they should. They should really hold him responsible. But then again, I guess they wouldn't hold him responsible when you got a whole cast of cheating men as well. Okay? Because we already know Maurice done lied about not being there, and it's still questionable whether or not let me backtrack. We know Maurice lied about not being at the boys' little boys event in ATL that occurred where the picture was posted. We know Maurice lied. He was there, okay? And we know something's up with Marcel. So once again, I guess we are not going to see these men hold Marcel accountable the way we would think, because it seems like they all got dirt themselves. They're all doing something. We remember when Marcel, made the comment when he first was getting caught out in his dirt. He said, well, listen, y'all coming for me when, it's some of y'all talking about Marcel with 20 women. Okay, we can't forget that. Where did that comment come from? Do we think that Marcel was just lying on Marcel? Do we? I don't. I think they all are doing things they have no business. Just what I think. And then another thing with this whole invite to Jalen's housewarming, I'm confused because shouldn't Jalen's friends be there? Like, and Kimmy's family, or whatever. Like, why are we even inviting Kimmy's girlfriends? And, I don't know. It's like some of the invites that are being, that are coming up are like, why? Why are they even there? Can Jalen make his own guest list? Can we let Jalen make his own guest list to his housewarming? Like, can we? So now we get to Miss Wanda meets up with Marceau at Black. She's there because, as we saw in the other episodes, Tisha asked Marceau to let her mom shadow him because she wants to try to open up her food truck business. And so he reluctantly agrees. And so now Miss Wanda is here for that. So in this whole scene with Miss Wanda coming to shadow him, Marceau mentions or whatever, tells her, like, listen, there's some dishes in the sink. And he wants Miss Wanda to basically wash them dishes. Miss Wanda is like, listen, I ain't here for that, okay? Miss Wanda is not trying to have it. She is not here for that. That is not the part of the shadowing that she is looking to do, okay? So, of course, in Miss Wanda's messy, nosy fashion, she starts to then get into the conversation with Marceau about a picture that had been posted where it was implied that this was Marceau in a hotel room. And so she starts drilling Marceau about this, and she shows him the picture. Then she starts asking him if this is his back. And so Marceau, in Marceau fashion, is like, I don't know. I've never seen my back. I can't with this man. I just really can't. So, he makes that comment about he never sees his back or whatever. So they're going back and forth. So finally, she's like, well, were you in a hotel room on January 14th or whatever? And she's just asking him like direct questions or whatever. And so as Marceau always does, Marceau dances around the questions and he makes comments and he just does the most, okay? And so Tisha's mom, Miss Wanda, is like, you're quick to answer and say when it's a lie. But it seems like, I'm sorry, she said you're quick to answer when it's the truth. I guess like when you want to tell the truth or you're truthfully answering, you're quick to answer that. But, when it's a lie and you lying, it seems like, you don't want to answer or whatever. So she's like calling him, out on that. And what I found interesting is a lot of Marceau's comments, okay? And a lot of what he says to Miss Wanda. One thing he says is that if I'm lying or if I'm telling the truth, my story ain't gonna change. What? Like, okay. Then he says that you'll never see a single receipt on anything. Okay, I already was side-eyeing the hell out of Marceau, but this right here just really had me looking at him really, just totally sideways. Because, like I mentioned in another video, I made a comment in regards to where there's smoke, there's fire, and that, you know, it's too many things and too many allegations and too much going on about Marcel and cheating and things for it not to be anything to it. But then at the same token, it's like, okay, but why haven't we popped up with anything, with any actual legit proof yet and things like that? Like, why aren't we seeing anything that we feel like we should have something concrete by now? And I don't know. I feel like in this scene, did he tell us everything that we needed to know? Is he telling us that he is so good at cheating and what he does that, listen, we will never have anything concrete? Is that what he's saying? Because that's what I'm getting. I am getting a very arrogant, like, you ain't gonna find out what I'm doing. It'll never be any proof type of vibe from Marcel. And this very well could be, you know, what's going on and why we don't have the concrete, you know, proof and things like that. We're getting a lot of different, you know, rumors and different things out there that him and Martell had an apartment together, you know, that he was with a woman when they were at the trip in ATL that I talked about earlier, the guys trip, you know, that there is an alleged, you know, outside baby. You know, we're hearing a lot of these things, but we haven't gotten any concrete proof yet. And now I'm kind of wondering, like, Marcel, are you that good that you just can't be caught? Is that what's going on? Is that what it is? Tisha, you better keep your eyes open and you better stay awake and you better start, you know, following up. And I don't know, Tisha better start, she better start playing detective. She better start playing detective because it definitely seems like there is something up with Marcel, that Marcel is definitely out here in these streets, okay? So now we are at Stormy's house. Mel comes by to talk to Stormy. And so Mel and Stormy are talking. Stormy mentions that, you know, she was thrown off by Tisha's energy, talking about the Galentine event. I guess talking about when they first came in, how, you know, Tisha didn't have any greeting for them and kind of was like on her phone and kind of ignored them. So Stormy is telling Melody how she was thrown off by that. So then Melody gets into, you know, the whole comment that Tisha made about Martell and his cheating, and then about, you know, the comments that she had made about Marcel and Marcel's cheating with the rumors and everything. So they kind of talk about that for a little bit. And then Stormy talks about how, you know, she's telling Melody about, you know, things kind of went left and, you know, this whole fiasco that occurred there, you know, was because Destiny was initially mocking her. And I guess initially, you know, she was letting it go, but, you know, it's telling Mel about, you know, the things that had occurred. So Mel tells Mel tells Stormy that Destiny had reached out to her and they had a conversation. And in a conversation, Destiny had told Melody that, you know, she had ignored things that Stormy was doing, that she was ignoring her. I don't know if this was an edit or what, because I don't know what she was talking about. I don't know if any of you saw it, but I'm not sure exactly what Destiny is saying that Stormy had did to her. And I guess it was supposed to be her saying like there were things that were being done to her throughout the night that was maybe egging her on or, you know, trying to start something with her. I didn't see that part. And I don't know if it was edited out or if it was just something that occurred that I just didn't see as being, I don't know, shady or starting something from on Stormy's end or whatever. Now, like I said in the last review, I will say I do feel as though Stormy was out of line to even jump into the conversation that Destiny and Melody was having. I think Storm was out of line for that. That's where I think Stormy was out of line, and she should have stayed out of it. She should have stayed clear of that. But other than that, I'm not sure. I don't recall Stormy, I don't know, like, you know, making any comments or egging Destiny on. So I don't know. However, Melody mentions that Destiny wants to have a conversation with Stormy. So I'm hoping in this conversation we get to hear and figure out what it is that had Destiny go on 10. Okay. And so Stormy does agree to have this conversation, a meet up with Destiny, but then she says, "But security has to be there." Okay, all right, whatever. But back to Destiny and her comment about Stormy, doing things that she ignored. I don't really think that this is all about Stormy doing things to Destiny, at all. I think it's a jealousy on Destiny's part because it feels to her like Stormy is her new friend. Okay? I think it's more like Destiny feels like Stormy is Melody's new friend. And that's where that anger and that's where that's coming from, out of place of, her and Mel's friendship is really, really on the rocks, if not over for good. But I think that that's where that's coming from, just my opinion. Okay, so now we get to where Tisha meets up with Miss Old Messy Wanda, okay? Miss Messy Wanda, Tisha meets up with her mom. And so they meet up, and Miss Wanda is telling her about when she was at Black, Marceau wanted her to do dishes. Like, that's not what she was there for. So Tisha kind of defends Marceau in the sense of like, well, you were there to shadow him. And so basically, like, if you're there to shadow him, then if he asks you to do something or, something to be done, I guess, Tisha kind of like, should do it. Anyway, Miss Wanda ain't here for it. She don't care if she's shadowing Marceau or not. She ain't doing no dishes. Okay, so we got that out the way. So of course, in Miss Messy Wanda fashion, Miss Wanda talks about the picture, and she tells Tisha that she approached Marceau about the picture. First of all, the number one question when Tisha's mother told her this should have been, why did you approach my husband about this picture? Because first of all, she had approached Marceau about the picture before she had even discussed it with Tisha, because as we see, she's having this conversation with Tisha right now about it, but had already had this conversation with Marceau. I'm gonna need Tisha to check her mother, and I'm gonna need Tisha to put some distance between her and her mother if her mother can't respect, being checked and can't respect the boundaries. But Tisha needs to definitely set some boundaries, because Miss Wanda needs to stop going to Marceau about things that she's hearing and questioning him. That's not your place. That's not your place. If your daughter wants to be naive, or if your daughter wants to sit around and not believe anything she hears, or whatever the case might be, that's on your daughter. But you tell your daughter, and you let your daughter make whatever decision she wants to make, whether that is to approach him or not to approach him. But you're out of line. It is not your place to approach your daughter's husband about what you hear your daughter's husband is doing. Miss Wanda, I'm going to need you to get in line and stay in your place. And, once again, we see what Tisha allows, and it's almost like maybe this is why Marceau and her is together, because Marceau sees that in her where she can be controlled and manipulated and walked over. I don't know, because it's like between Marceau and her mother, I don't know who walks over her more. And it's like ridiculous. But at the end of the day, her mom should not be in her marriage. So I would say her mother does more, because her mother's out of line. Her mother's out of place. Okay? But anyway, moving on. So, Miss Wanda is telling her about the picture and everything. So Tisha is saying, well, I haven't been on social media for 2 months or whatever. So I guess Tisha's trying to tell her, she's not aware of the rumors. She don't know about them because she hasn't been on social media or whatever. So, of course, Miss Wanda is going to give her all the details and let her know. So Miss Wanda tells Tisha that, well, Marceau did tell her that he was there and that he was with a friend talking about the hotel room. Okay? So this is what Miss Wanda is saying that Marceau had admitted to her. And so, Tisha is like, well, I'm not going to keep questioning my husband. I'm not going to keep going back and forth with him about this, with things I hear, and that people are trying to break up a marriage and a black family and all of this other stuff. Tisha, really? So people are trying to break up a black family and trying to break up your marriage. That's what we going to? That's what we going to? Okay, Tisha. Oh, listen. Okay. All right, girl. So basically, they leave off at that. Well, Tisha is kind of just letting her mother know she's not going to keep going back and forth with Marcel with these rumors and, telling him a question about what people have told her and what she's heard. And, then she even said something about basically like if these things were true, she would see something by now. She would know something by now and blah, blah, blah. Is what she's going into. All right, girl. The thing is Tisha, have you ever looked? Have you ever looked? Have you ever played private eye and have you ever, checked behind a lot of things? Have you ever rolled up on him? Have you ever checked his phone? Have you done these things? Because I'm sorry, like I said earlier, it is just too much smoke for it not to be a fire anywhere. So I don't know, Tisha, you might want to get that detective hat on and get to going. Just my opinion. So moving on, now we see where Tiffany and Louis, they meet up with Martell. And so, of course, this conversation comes up with Martell about, the book, the kid's book. And, it comes up about, the kids not being there. So Tiffany tells Martell that Melody had shared with her that, she had a funeral. Her uncle's funeral was during that time. So, Martell says that he didn't know that her uncle's funeral was during that time. And so he makes a comment about saying that, he wished that Mel would have had talked to him about it. And basically he wished that Mel would communicate and talk to him about certain things and that, that she would give him that level of respect. Martell, you had a whole outside mistress and then had a baby with your mistress. And you are going to say that you wish that Mel would give you a level of respect? What? What level of respect is it that you want? Because she giving you the same level you didn't give her from what I see. Like, come on, Martell. Like, stop it. Because at the end of the day, as we saw during that episode, it was not Martell's weekend with the kids, okay? It was not his weekend. If Mel did not choose to share with him that someone in her family died and they were going to a funeral, guess what? She does not have to. Why do you want this woman to oblige you, give you courtesies and things like that when you have wreaked havoc in your marriage and even up until this day in regards to the things you did in your marriage and the things you have done even after the marriage? Why do you expect for her to give you these courtesies and this respect? I can't. I cannot with Martell. I really cannot. It's like, go and sit your narcissistic, arrogant behind down somewhere. Sit down and just stop. Stop. It's like it's crazy with him. And I'm just so happy for Mel that part of her life is over. Because, it is crazy the things that he is doing and saying and everything else about Melody when, take ownership and accountability for what you did. Period. Take accountability and ownership for it. And that's that. So, they get into the conversation and now Tiffany is telling Martell now about the Galentine event. I don't know why all these women feel the need to tell the men about what happened, at this event, but whatever. So now Tiffany's telling Martell about what happened at the event. And so Tiffany makes the comment about how, people were saying that Mel was her bodyguard and now it's like Stormy is Melody's bodyguard or whatever. Like, okay, Tiffany, there you go with your shade. Tiffany in her, underhanded shade, but okay, whatever. Because that's what you're saying, Tiffany. All right, that's what you're saying. That's what you're saying, that Stormy is Mel's bodyguard. But anyway, so she's telling Martell this and everything, and then Martell was telling Tiffany that soon Melody won't be Tiffany's friend. and was saying that, you got to be a do girl for Melody, and that, when Melody gets upset, she cut people off, and, when she doesn't need you, and, all of this. And so here we go with Martell bashing Melody as a friend in regards to, just not being a good friend, which, was the implication that Tisha said. But I don't know, because it's interesting, because this conversation sounds a lot like conversations that occurred between Tisha and Destiny. And so I found it mighty funny of Martell's choice of words and Martell's conversation with Tiffany about Melody and friendships. I find that very interesting. And it's almost as if Martell and Destiny had already been having these conversations, and with Tisha and Destiny being friends, that they continued these conversations as well, and these are where these sparked that. Because I don't know, it's interesting that it's this thing of when Melody doesn't need you, she cuts you off, that these three are saying this. First of all, Martell, I don't know where you would have that outlook at, because you were her husband, and the reason you guys dissolved was because of, what you had done, and you guys are now divorced. And, from what's said, Melody has helped Destiny quite a bit. And it seemed like the relationship with Destiny and Melody, it seemed more that Melody had the resource and potential to help Destiny more than Destiny could have ever helped Melody. So the fact of the matter about her cutting people off when she doesn't need you, I'm not sure. And then Destiny said herself, she went through a whole divorce and everything else, and she never shared it with Mel until in the end when she was divorced. So where was it that you were expecting Melody to show up for you, or if you felt like you needed her but she wasn't there, you didn't allow her to be there during your divorce process, because you told her afterwards. So you didn't even share that with her. So I don't know. It's just giving a lot of contradictions amongst the three of them. And I didn't see that when we looked at, other seasons with the relationship with Melody and Tisha. I didn't see where, Melody was only around when, she needed something. Most of the time it looked like Melody was doing her from the start of the show. We saw with Melody trying to doing her in her own lane, and out here, trying to, move and shake and get things done. So, I don't know. I almost feel like it's almost one of those situations where you can tell that people are trying to justify or trying to come up with something about someone. I don't know. It could just be me. We all are entitled to our own opinions. We see things differently, but I don't know, because Melody also strikes me as a person that Melody to me is not that vulnerable enough of a person, I feel, to even be the type of person to be around when she needs you and then disappear when she doesn't. Because to me, Melody comes off as a type of person that's trying to do it all herself and not trying to get help from anybody. And she even made the comment that when things are not going good or she's going through certain things, she pulls away. And I can see that with Melody. I could see her being that type of person. If she's not in her regular herself, in her regular space, with her pulling away. And I could see that. I could see her being that type of person. So I don't know. I just think that I don't know. I call BS on that whole thing of, with Melody. And it's and when we think about it, it's we don't have anything else. You haven't shown, or you're not illustrating any other way or saying anything else how Melody's a bad friend. We're not hearing anything else besides that. I think it started from Tisha, because Tisha was obviously salty about the whole thing with Marceau, and Melody making the comments about Marceau cheating. And I think that's where that surfaced and that started. And I think from there it's now being used by everyone that is getting into something with Melody, is what I think. Okay, so also during this time, Martell invites Louis to the guys event in Atlanta for his wine tasting or whatever. And I'm just like, Louis, don't do it. You don't want to be a part of this, Louis. Louis, don't. But anyway, it seems like Lewis wants to be a part of it. It seems like he will be on board and he will be attending. And so we shall soon see. And Miss Tiffany throws some comments out there, kind of like, like she wears the pants and like she's running things. I was kind of like, okay, all right. All right, Tiffany, we're going to just go ahead and throw that out there, but okay. So anyway, they kind of ends off, on there with Martell and the conversation with Lewis and Tiffany. And so after, Tiffany makes a couple of slick comments about wearing the pants, you see where Lewis kind of smacks her on the butt. I guess that was his way to show that, I don't know what he was showing. I don't know. Anyway, so now we get to where Tisha pulls up at Black and she tells Marceau to come outside. She wants to talk to him. So Marceau comes outside and he's like, get in the car. She's like, oh, get in the car. So Marceau like, wait, hold up. So this is going to be a long conversation, huh? And so, Tisha's kind of like, yeah, it's going to be a long one. And of course it goes into to be continued because that's what they keep doing. I am tired of Love and Marriage Huntsville with these little cliffhanger endings where they're reeling us in to see next week because we want to see these, like, we want to see, the juice. We want to see what's going to happen, next week. And then we get another dry episode with, maybe 5 minutes of something. But we get a whole 55 minutes of some dry episode. So I'm like kind of over it with Love and Marriage Huntsville. I will continue out the season because we are on like the 8th episode. So of course I will watch to the end. We'll watch the reunion and all that. But I'm just hoping that we get a better season next season. Else, I don't know if I'll be in attendance. Okay, I don't know because we need more. We need more. Okay. Well, anyway, and that's it for this review / recap. Until next time, toodles.